Okay. Show me.
What is up, YouTubers? DJI in the house. Thank you very much for tuning in. And what you are looking at right now is a DVR capture from one of my L5s, my Roma L5s from Diatone. They're newest quadcopters. They are lightweight 5-inch endurance, long range cruisers, I'd say. I found these to be nice high speed or medium speed cruisers. Nice quadcopters. So in this video I'm gonna tell you what I think of these quadcopters. I have two of them, the 4S version and a 6S version. And not unimportantly, if you are watching this video, you are probably interested in these quads, right? I'll tell you what the setup for these quads is, the PID tune and some other settings. So let's get right into it. Again, this what you are looking at right now is a DVR capture. Now I should add to that I've only had windy days while flying these quadcopters. And physics, right? These are 5-inch quadcopters, so they do catch some wind, but I think they fly perfectly fine. There's a little bit of wobble here and there, but again, pretty windy. Okay, let's take a look at these quads. So guys, the Diatone L5, their long-range 5-inch quadcopter, and I was a bit surprised to see that the tune for both of these quadcopters, this is a 6S quadcopter, this is a 4S quadcopter, the tune is practically the same, or actually identical. That's usually not the case actually. If you have the same quadcopter where one is 6S and the other one is 4S, usually there's a difference in tune. And you tell me in the comment section below why you think that the tune is actually the same for these two quadcopters. And speaking of, I've been flying these quadcopters on this 6S Lipo and this 4S Lipo. So this is an 850 mAh CNHL 6S Lipo. And this is a 1300 Tattoo, not an R-line. The amp draw of these quadcopters isn't all that high, right? So even this 75C Lipo can handle these quadcopters. And to that I should add that this Lipo is a bit old. So yeah, it's too old actually. But it still suffices as long as you're cruising. If you fly freestyle, this Lipo. Anyway, if you buy this Lipo new, it will probably suffice. Again, for a light quadcopter like these that don't draw a lot of amps, these Lipos do. If you ordinarily, I'd say these Lipos are more suited to airplanes, but again, amp draw is low, so it works. Now, I must say that I was a little bit worried about these quadcopters, or this genre, this type of quadcopter. See, I am used to the practically bulletproof 5-inch freestyle quadcopters. Well, bulletproof, you know what I mean, the far heavier type of 5-inch quadcopter. And on first glance, these quadcopters look flimsy, maybe. Thin and narrow arms, and well, the center frame is actually, it looks fine. But this top plate, for instance, is really, really thin. And yeah, skinny arms, right? On the other hand, these quadcopters are also light, so if you crash them, the impact is low. Yeah, then again, you put a heavy Lipo on it, maybe. Also, with these skinny arms, I was expecting them to be hard to tune. And they were hard to tune, but that's more because of the wind, right? Okay, so what more can I tell you about these quadcopters? Yeah, obviously the flight time is long because they are light, and the pitch of these propellers is low. These are 5125 propellers, if I'm not mistaken, so very low pitch, right? And therefore this entire setup, you know this setup by now with the 2004 motors. You can get to long flight times. I must add that I've been flying them sportingly, so at higher speeds maybe, and a little bit freestyly, so I didn't attain long flight times, but that was not what I was after. I'm sure you can easily get over 15 minutes of flight times with these quadcopters. Right, and again, I've flown them on reasonably small Lipos, right? I'm sure these quadcopters can handle bigger lipos, but I wanted to keep them light. Speaking of which, I explained that in my unboxing of these quadcopters, and I'll leave a link to my unboxing in the upper right corner if you want to check that out. Also, I am very happy to report that the GPS setup on these quadcopters actually works on both of these. They get a GPS fix pretty quickly, and to that I should add that the digital version somehow attains a GPS fix a little bit sooner. I'm not sure why. Maybe it was the weather. Could be just a coincidence, but to me it seemed that the digital version got, well, maybe there's a little bit less interference from that Vista unit than the analog FPV setup. I don't know. Long story short, both of these quadcopters get a GPS fix within reason, within minutes. You won't have to wait like 5 or 10 minutes for a GPS fix, even on a cold search. So that's nice, obviously. And I don't really need a GPS on my quadcopters, but it's nice. You can see how far you've flown and what your speed is, and well, if you want the extra security insurance of having a fail-safe, having your quadcopter fly back to you, that's nice. And well, especially then it's nice to know that it actually works, right? And let me see, yeah, these quadcopters look very consistent with the other light quadcopters from Diatone. I'm sure you're aware of that. I have the 4-inch version and the 3-inch version of these. And yeah, they definitely all look like coming from the Diatone, right? With the aluminium case at your front. I have had severe crashes with my 4-inch, the F4, into metal poles. And apparently this cage works. I don't know how the rest of the frame would hold up. I haven't... Well, actually, again, with my 4-inch version, I've had quite a lot of severe crashes. It's still in one piece. So that's nice. I've busted some propellers and such. And yeah, so I've ripped out the wires that are soldered on... The motor wires that are soldered onto the 4-in-1 ESC. Yeah. Typical damage, right? War scars. But the frame somehow survived so far. Again, these are light quadcopters, so the impacts are lower. So I think I should recommend these quadcopters. I find especially this 5-inch version to be a nice high-speed cruiser. That's what I've used them for. You can easily get flights in of like 10 minutes, cruising them around at 100 kilometers an hour. That's not super duper fast, but it's a nice, comfortable, speedy cruising speed, I'd say. Having said that, let's have a look at the tune, and you'll see that it's pretty far from stock Betaflight. More on that in a second, but first let's have a look at the changes I made to have this quadcopter fly well. Alright guys, no changes in the port setup, so straight to the configuration, and let me see, I have changed quite a lot of things here. Well, quite a lot of things. I have changed things here. Bidirectional D-shot was enabled already, so no change there, but make sure that the motor pulse is set to 14. In my prototype, the 6S version, it wasn't set correctly, I think. I'm not completely sure, but make sure it's set to 14. Then I've set my motor idle to 9.5, which is a big change from the stock. Stock Betaflight is 6.5, I think, or maybe even 5.5, I'm not completely sure, but far lower. And basically what this does is raise the effect of air mode. Your propellers will spin faster when you got your throttle cut to 0, giving the quadcopter a little more control. And this was especially needed in higher winds. The Netherlands is a windy country. I found that the quadcopter needed that extra bit of control, especially in low throttle. Then let me see, yeah, I have left the barometer enabled. I could have done without that probably, it doesn't really do anything. And let me see, other things changed here. The GPS up was already enabled and correct, so no other changes in the configuration step, that's it. Then the PID setup, the PID tune. This definitely is different, especially from stock Betaflight and also from the stock setup the quadcopter came with. I'm not completely sure what the stock setup was. I think the master multiplier was 1.1, I'm not completely sure. Nevertheless, this quadcopter does need quite a big step from stock Betaflight, because it's a relatively different quadcopter from the stock Betaflight setup, which would be a heavier 5-inch quadcopter. For your convenience, I have tried to keep the changes to a minimum and use the sliders, so that makes it easier for you to work with my tune, I guess. So master manipulator is set to 1.2, then the P&D gain to 1.1. And feed forward, I often set that to 0.4 and it worked out well for this quadcopter as well. Let me see, the VBET PID compensation is engaged, it wasn't engaged. Then I have disabled D-min. So that means that my D's don't lower themselves in normal flight. You might remember from my unboxing video that in low throttle flight, this quadcopter wobbled, and that's probably because the D term lowered itself in normal flight. So yeah, I've remedied that by disabling the D-min. Let me see, have I changed anything else? I think I've changed the I term relax a little bit, 10 on the cutoff, and the rest is the same, I think. Yeah, I think that's it for this page. Yeah. Okay, so but you can obviously pause the video here and copy my setup. Then the rates are, I found these rates to be work well for the quadcopter, but that's very personal. I like higher rates probably. If you want the quadcopter to be a little more smooth, you can maybe increase the expo, but I don't think the quadcopter really needs it. The quadcopter is a pretty smooth flyer. Right out of the box. So a little bit of expo is always nice if you want to fly the quadcopter cinematically. And yeah, again, find rates that work for you. These are the rates I often use on all my quadcopters. Then the filtering, this is what I ended up with. Yes, less filtering than stock. I'm not completely sure. I think the gyro filter manipulator was set to 1.1 and the D-term filter set to 1, and I've raised both, as you can tell. I haven't changed any of the individual numbers here, and it's hard to really do because these quadcopters don't have black box logging, as you probably know. So this worked. I didn't have hot motors at all. This entire setup worked for me. And to that I should add that I think that the quadcopters would fly a little bit easier to tune if you fly them with a bigger battery or with an action camera. That extra weight will stabilize the quadcopter a little more, I think. And that's it. That's everything I've changed on the setup. So again, quite a bit difference, especially in the PID tune. So guys, that's my final verdict and the tune for these L5s from Diatone. Yeah, quite a bit of tuning needed, especially if you live in a windy country such as I do. And I will probably be posting more flight videos with these quadcopters, be on the lookout for that. I will probably be posting them on my Raw channel, and I'll leave a link to that channel in the upper right corner. If you're not subscribed yet, please do, thank you very much in advance. And what more can I tell you? Yeah, I will be flying these quadcopters on lithium ions. So I'll try both of these, so the 4S version and the 6S version, on a 4S lithium ion pack to see, well, we'll see what happens, right? That's not part of the review, but we'll see how they handle a lithium ion. And I'm especially interested to see whether the 6S version flies well at all on a 4S lithium ion. And in case you are not familiar with those batteries, a 6S lithium ion pack would be huge, especially physically. But so I don't even have a 6S lithium ion pack, but I don't think that would be appropriate for a quadcopter, a lightweight quadcopter like this. Maybe a 6 or a 7-inch quadcopter, But again, I don't even have one, so I'll fly both of these quadcopters on a 4S lithium ion and we'll see how that works out. Maybe they'll need a massive tune change for that, I don't know, we will see. Be on the lookout for that. I want to thank you for watching. If you are left with questions, hit me up a comment down below. And I'll leave you with one of the flights I did with these quadcopters for your entertainment. Also, tell me in the comment section below what you think of these quadcopters, obviously. Catch you on the next video. Bye bye.